Hey everyone, this is the Crew Dog again. Welcome to the Crew Dog's Doghouse. What I want to show you right now, okay, is I had a couple of questions come up in email form. I have a video on YouTube that you've already seen, or you can see about changing out liquid crystal display in LCD. I have people called in saying that they've got a camera, okay, that they just got or they have, whatever, and they put battery in it and power won't go on. And they can't figure out what's wrong with it. They've tried replacing the battery and whatever else, and they write letters off, emails off to the company, and they want like, anywhere from $85 to $90 just to do a diagnosis, and you have to send the camera in. You got to pay for postage there, and then they're going to tell you it's probably what they call a main board or your circuit board. And one of those, okay, this camera right here happens to be, it's a Samsung. I do a lot of Samsung repair. I'm not a repair facility. I don't claim to be a repairman. I have a hobby of buying cameras that are broke, fixing them, and then reselling them on either eBay or other different types of forums. I found, okay, that on the Samsungs, that I see one listed, okay, where it will not power on, most likely it's a power board, or what they call, it's a main board assembly. So I'm going to show you today, okay, is how to replace a main board on a digital camera. This camera right here, okay, happens to be, it's a Samsung, it's a SL202. I think it's a 10.2 megapixel camera. As you can see, okay, there's no lens in it. I bought this one also just for parts. So I've taken out the lens and I put the lens into a different camera, and I got that one working. This mini, okay, is just like a body, but everything else is in it. So let me go ahead and show you how to replace the main board on a digital camera using this Samsung SL202 as a, as kind of a guide. All right, first thing we need to do, okay, and I've already done this, is to save time, is to remove the screws that hold the plate, to hold the body together. Okay, now this one's got 6 of them. As you can see, there's 2 on the edges there. I got 2 on the bottom, and there's 2 on the side. I've already pulled those out. It takes anywhere from, not even 5 minutes to pull them out. Okay, we're going to open up the battery door, and as you can see, okay, there's no battery power source in it. We're going to separate the halves. I always take off the back half first, and just by prying up on it. And this one's been off and on quite a bit, so it comes off pretty easy. Put it off on the side there. Then we pull off the front. Now you can see, okay, over here on this side is the USB connect port right there. Also where you do for your battery charging cable goes up in there. So I'm going to pull up this side here and then lift it off of that little hole right there so it doesn't get in the way. That's off on the side. Now, there, my friends, is what they call the main power board. That's all there is to it. Some cameras you have like 4 or 5 different layers you have to go through. Good one is like the Sony. Sony's take, I don't know how many, they put layers and layers and layers on it. This one's a pretty simple one. Most of the Samsungs that I've worked with, okay, are a very simple camera. Okay, right here, okay, you have what they call ribbon connectors, or ribbons, power ribbons, and I'll show you one of those, but this is where they connect onto, here and here. This is one, okay, for the lens itself. This is for the power for the lens. This one here, okay, is also partial power, but it's also for the actual, I guess you can say, the digital image or the picture coming through from the CCD, charge coupler display or device. All right, so we have to remove these other 2 ribbons that are over here, one there and one there. Okay. And on most of these, okay, there's like a little, if you can see it clearly enough, I hope this camera gets it in there clearly. There's a little metal bar right here you have to lift up. There we go. Because that bar locks it in place. I usually use my fingernail and pull it up. There you go, it's up. Now if you do it too many times, that bar breaks and you have to get a whole new power board because of that. Take a small screwdriver, flat tip, and then just pry out that ribbon. Now that's the one, okay, which is for the LCD, liquid crystal display. This one right here, okay, doesn't have that type of a lock there. It's a friction lock. So this one right here, okay, you just have to kind of play with it, and it pulls out there too. That one right there, okay, it goes on the back, and that's this one right here. And this is another power board, but this one controls where you move it around, like, you know, for what you're on. You're either on auto or you're on movie. You change your different types of what you want, and that's this little, oh, that little button right there, okay, what you want to be on. Okay, so what we need to do first, we need to remove this power board. If I do that, okay, there's a screw up on top, right there, and a screw down on the bottom, right there. We're going to pull these two out. So I'm going to pause this to save on time. All right, I've pulled out those two screws. The connector is already loose, we know that, okay, so this just lifts up and it pulls out now. That easy. That's the ribbon connector right there, which is the connector for the LCD liquid crystal display. This just lifts up and it just pulls out now. Because there's the other end of the connector. And that just gets put off on the side. Now, okay, it's just the board where everything's connected up to. Up in front here, okay, all we have left now is the power board. Over here, okay, this is the flash. This is the capacitor for the flash device. Be careful. This thing, when it's charged up, can hold up to 330 volts. And that'll knock you on your you-know-what. If you're ever curious, okay, as to when your camera was actually made or produced, right on there, okay, you can see a date. I hope this one's coming through. I can't see if it is or not. But this one, okay, has got a 090314. That means 2009, March the 14th. That's the birthday for this particular camera. Okay? So now we have 4 screws on this one, okay? You got one right here, one right there, one right there, one right there. It's 4 screws. Some other ones, okay, other boards you have screws all over the place. You have to find all the screws and remove those. Once again, for time, I'm going to pause the camera here. All right, I pulled out all those screws. There's 4 of them. Now, what we have to do now, okay, is we have to lift up and pry it off. And be careful. You don't want to force anything. See on the back here, okay, you have this portion right here with all those different what we call serrations. And that's what plugs in down below to give all the power, right here, all the power to the board. This right here, okay, is for the battery. When the battery goes in, connects up to. And this is where your USB cable and charge cable hooks up to. But this is your power board, right here, the main one. Okay, so you take that, and you have a new one that you either bought, or you do like I do sometimes. You get a camera you bought, which you know has got a good board. Something else might be screwed up on it, like you see them, it says camera lens assembly does not work. Fine, buy the camera, use the board, throw the rest of it away. Because this thing can cost you up to, like, you know, from the factory, about $100 and $200. This one here you can buy on eBay for this particular camera for anywhere from $12 to $25. That's not bad. Okay, to put it in, okay, you just kind of lay it in there, and you want to push down until you feel that where those connectors are fits into the groove. And make sure it's lined up. Make sure over here, okay, that your USB is not overlapping, which it's not. Everything's good to go. And you push it in there, and then you put your screws back in it again. Once again, I'm going to pause the camera because of time. All right. I've got that board now put in, so the board's been replaced. Now we got to put the rest of it together. Okay, now if you had a lens, you put the lens in now. Okay, and that just goes into here. Your 2 flex strips hook up to here. And you have your screws that stay in the lens little things there, but one of them would screw onto here, one of them screws into there, one of them screws into there to mount it. That's the only thing that holds in that lens. Okay, now make sure that all your locks are up on your ribbons and everything, because we're going to put the thing together the opposite of what we did when we put it together, took it apart. So what we're going to do first is we're going to put this makes it easier. We're going to put this LCD screen back in it again. And that just kind of fishes through there. This is without that plate being on there. There we go. And that just fits in there. Sort of like that. There we go. And as you can see, the ribbon's right there. So what we do now is you put that ribbon back in there. I'm going to pause it again for time. All right. That ribbon strips it back in there. See it right out there. Now we're going to put the other board, this board right here, put this back in place. Remember, you have your flex strip right there. That's going to go, it's going to be fished. It's going to be fished through this way. See how it popped through there? Okay, now we're going to be bolting that back in place and putting that flip strip back into the connector. For time's sake, I'm going to pause the camera. All right. My board's back in, as you can see. I've got the two screws back in place. I've got both of my flex strips installed. The one right here, which goes for the liquid crystal display, the LCD. And this one right here is in place. This one goes to that control board. This controls, like right there, okay, if you can see it, and I hope you can see that. The mode that you're in, plus also the buttons for the menu, all your different functions here for flash on, flash off, for close-ups, display, show your pictures, everything that's on there, okay, goes to that little front sideboard. And your zoom is the thing right here, okay, is just up in there, and on that right there, okay, your actual zoom it's in there, and it just works off of that. So we're going to go ahead and put the back on it again. Or put the front on it right now. Let's just pretend, okay, that the lens is in place. Okay. So this one right here, okay, remember again, you got that slot right there, which is for that USB power cable. So make sure that nothing's in the way. Everything's out of the way. And we'll put that end in first. So we can make sure that it's in nice and flush. And any little extraneous things, make sure they're all lined up. And just kind of play with it until it snaps into place. Remember, on digital cameras and phones and all that stuff, snaps are good. We like snaps, don't we? Okay, make sure everything's in there all the way. Which this one, it looks like it is. We'll find out in just a minute if it is or not. Actually, it's not, because that little there we go. Now we're in there. Make sure that everything's in there correctly. There we go. Then you take your back, and now you've got to make sure that the little dial right there is going to line up, which I believe it is right there. We'll find out in just a minute now, won't we? I think it was right there. Anyway, if it's not, I'll show you how to do this. That just fits on there. Putting your little ears, I call them, into the side there. Make sure that they go in. Over here, the same thing. Make sure they all go in. And then you turn this until it finds its own little home. And you can feel it clicking in there. And make sure it's flush all the way around, which, there we go, it is now. Remember again, snaps are good. If you hear that snapping, you're worried about something breaking. It's not going to break. These things, believe it or not, they're pretty sturdy. What you do now, okay, is you will put your screws back in it again. You got your two screws there, your two screws over there, your two screws over there. Now, if you did all this right, you're going to put a battery in it, and it's going to work. Okay, you just have to have faith it's going to work. So, that was not hard at all now, was it? Nope. Should not be intimidated by it. You should not be scared. It's easy to do. Anybody can do it. As long as you got your little screwdriver and my little flat tip there to kind of pull out those little flex strips. But this is the only tool you're going to need to disassemble, I'm going to say virtually, almost any digital camera. Little screwdriver. Everything else is in there. Everything else looks like it's good. You can push it. Here, all those snaps. You can feel the detent on the zoom. Everything works there so far. Battery door looks good. And then over here, make sure, and look at that. There's your USB cable, charge cable connector, and it's in there pretty well flush. You putting your screw is going to draw that down, so you're good to go on that. But my friends, that is how you change out a main board on a digital camera. This one again, okay, was an SL202. SL202 by Samsung. This camera sells brand new when it works for approximately, new, about $130. Just so happens I've got a good one here. Matter of fact, I took the lens from this camera to fix this one. Look at that. See, it works. LCD. Everything in it works. Turn that little knob there. Gives you your different changes. Everything that I did before, everything is working good. Change your flash or your focus to, I put mine on automatic focus. Your flash, turn it off or on. Everything's in that LCD screen. Okay. Any pictures in there? Well, yeah, there's a picture in there. That's from the behind the Crew Dog's doghouse. And face detection. All your little things are in there. Everything on it works. Zoomer doomer. Okay. So, I hope that answered a couple of your questions, because a couple of you have written in asking how do you change out a main board. What is the main cause of a digital camera not turning on? Well, first make sure that your battery is fully charged. Make sure of that, power source. And if not that, chances are, 9 times out of 10, it's a bad power board. They can short out from being dropped. They can be, they might have been, you don't know, if you buy one used, you don't know if it's been in the bottom of a swimming pool or not. Water is electronics' worst enemy. But you can, if you get a camera, even if it's been dropped in water, you can bring it back to life again for under $100. Okay? So, this is the Crew Dog saying thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Welcome to the Crew Dog's Den, or doghouse as we call it sometimes. And you all have a good day. Thanks for watching. Please click on my ads. This is the Crew Dog. Out.